Dave, how you doing? Good, good,
Good.
good. You smiling there. Hey, seems like every day I see on social media some other guy is saying I'm committed to Arkansas. I don't know. Are you able to comment on any of those guys yet?
No, you could probably get a hold of him and talk to him a little bit, but I can't say anything. I can't. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this then, without being specific. I know after the season or after the last game, talked about wanting to get faster, more athletic. Obviously, you need to add some arms because you're losing guys to the draft. How do you feel like without mentioning names,
Yeah.
how do you feel like you're filling those needs in the portal?
Yeah. A few guys, and it's just a couple. It's not like you're going to have a lineup of really good runners that are more run scorers than producers. And you've seen it just watching the games through the tournaments. You got to be able to hit it over their head. You got to hit some home runs. You got to have some power, but you need some athletes in there that can steal a bag and steal a bag when everybody knows you're going to steal. And we're working on that. So definitely something that uh, we feel like we're addressing. And again, we got to get these kids to show up and we got to deal with, in some cases, the draft because a couple of these kids are older. For the most part, it looks like we're going to get these new guys and some of these young guys and a couple of JUCO guys.
And it looks like you've only lost a couple to the portal, and no offense to them, but not necessarily key guys for you. How do you feel about how you retained your guys?
Yeah, I don't feel like guys want to leave here, honestly. We've got a lot going around here that helps kids get better, and we treat them right, and they, when you probably need to go, and but I feel real good about the guys that are coming back and the guys that are leaving were kind of expected. So, things can change here and there, but we have a few players that obviously would be big time portal guys if they got in. But I think they like what's going on here and they like their development. And, when you really think about it, it's about getting better every day and making your money in the draft.
Yeah, I might have a couple more about, if it comes back around, turn back to Oliver. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Ellis.
Yeah, Dave, just given how the landscape of college baseball has changed so much in the last 3, 4 years, do you feel like each offseason you and your staff get a little bit better feel for how to navigate all these different variables that you have to deal with each offseason?
I do. I mean, college baseball, it's super popular right now. I truly believe that. And it gets better. The teams are better. The players are bigger, stronger. They're older. And it's because of being able to jump around. Teams have been able to go through a little free agency in the summer and fill in some spots. And obviously, once the season starts or school starts, that is what it is. You can't dip into the minor leagues, but you have this window right now where you can fill in. Now, it's not apples to apples because there's some teams that have a lot more NIL money to dish out than other teams, and frankly, those teams that have it, they're doing really well. So, we have to deal with that. But we want to bring in the player that it's not all about the money. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to pluck one here and there, but we've got to get the right ones. And frankly, you have a budget, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think we've done a good job navigating, getting better, and figuring out how to handle it. You have to almost over recruit some of these older guys that are in the portal if you're getting some guys that are draft eligible. Because basically they might say one thing, but realistically, if somebody offers them, they're probably going to sign.
And you've got a lot of young pitchers on your roster that maybe didn't pitch a ton last year, but might be a big piece. I mean, Tate McGuire, we've seen what he's been doing in the Cape Cod League. Just when you're thinking about next year in the roster, how important is that crop of those freshman and sophomore arms that might end up taking on bigger roles for you, next year?
We say it every year here. We're still going to try to build this program as best we can around young players. Get the quality kids from high school, get them here, get them through the draft. Last year the draft crushed us with position players. We got a few pitchers through, obviously, and they helped us. if Hunter Dietz could have stayed healthy and Colin Fisher could have stayed healthy, who knows where we would have been. We might have been able to have a number 2, number 3 that could have helped Hagen a lot more, honestly, because, that's kind of what faded on us there pretty much in May, was some starting pitching. It just kind of went away, honestly. Bullpen was good, but, you've got to have those young guys continue to get better. And it's great to see, Tate McGuire go out and have 2 really good outings in a row in the Cape. And, Bibby's throwing good, Woods throwing good. They're a little older. It's just big time. And obviously Gackle, if you just look at the freshman pitchers and what he did this year, he was the one that rose to the top. And we knew how talented he was when we got him here. I mean, last year when he called us and told us that he wasn't going to sign, he was taking his name out of the draft. I mean, honestly, we're high-fiving, knowing that we got us a guy. And, you got to have them. You got to have really good players. And we feel like we've got a couple, 3 really good high school arms coming in. If we can get a couple of them through the draft, and then a couple of older kids come in and help us out, we'll have a really good pitching staff again next year. And I think it'll be one that's probably a little more consistent.
Much.
Yeah, Dave, unless you've added any more this morning, I think we know about 8 transfers. I know you can't talk about them specifically, but do you know how many more you're thinking about maybe bringing in? Like, how active are you still in the portal?
Well, we're still pretty active, honestly, but it's not like I can't put a number on it. Because there's getting ready to be a lot more movement. You're going to see some movement from a couple teams in Texas, and some of them might jump from one team to the other. Or maybe this is their time to get out and do something else, and there'll be some big names, but you're talking a lot of money for some of these kids that are going to be out. I mean, a lot. So I don't think people realize what's gone on the NIL scene in college baseball when you're talking $200,000, $300,000, $450,000 to get a player. And again, there's some that can do it a lot, some that can do it a little. And but it's never over because of that draft that should have been last week or the week before, which would have been nice because it affects everybody and it trickles down all the way to the incoming high school senior that's coming to school.
And speaking of that draft, I'm curious how you feel about maybe some of your guys that you have signed, both high school and JUCO guys that seem to be getting a little of attention.
Yeah, obviously we start with the young guys, the high school kids that we want to get in. A couple of 3 of the position players. I'm going to have to make decisions, and then 2 or 3 of the pitchers for sure. I don't want to mention too many names right now and kind of put that on them, but the draft this year is really strong in the first round. And then after that, if you talk to the scouts, it's not the same as it was last year. So could help some kids move up, get offered more money that maybe would have been a later pick. So I don't know how it's going to affect us. You just don't know. We do the best we can to talk to the young guys and even their advisors to try to get an idea of what they're looking for. Then, we know scouts, we can kind of find out what they're thinking, or at least their organization's thinking. They don't know everybody. It just takes one team. But then you get into the kids that are in our program right now. Obviously, Smith is the cream of the crop. He's probably going to go in the top 10 picks. And you take away really 2 innings of his year, he was unbelievable. And, that's the way the game works sometimes. But after that, you're talking about a couple of other starting pitchers. It's hard to say where they're going to go. I feel like they'll be drafted, but maybe not where they thought they would. And we'll see how that turns out. But, just excited for the draft to get here, and then we can finish our roster, because right now it's all about roster and numbers and being fair to everybody, being fair to the new guys coming in and returners and even the guys that they're transferring in. Just, bringing in guys and some of our guys don't sign, it becomes a problem. But I like where we're at right now. And we did, if they show up, we've got a couple, more than a few really good players that are going to elevate us.
Tom.
Yeah, hey Dave, lots of SEC representation at the College World Series, including Texas A&M and Tennessee in the finals. Did you watch much, and what did you think of how that all went down?
Well, looking back at the teams that made it to the series, I thought Texas A&M, when we played them, was the best team we played all year by far. I thought Florida was really talented. They just weren't playing great. But I did make the comment after they left here, and that was a team. Don't be surprised if they get to Omaha, just because of how physical they were and the arms they had. The wins weren't adding up to the talent, and they got it going late. And then A&M, like I said, was probably the best team we played all year. We didn't play Tennessee. I think Tennessee might have the best talent, pro talent, and somebody sent a survey out to all the SEC coaches, and who do you think will win the series? I said Tennessee, and I said that because I felt like that A&M had lost their number 2 starter. They had lost their switch hitting 3-hole hitter that had 80 RBIs, and they still played good. They pitched really well there. But if you bring back their number 2 starter, they might have won it. But that's the way it works. You have to be a little bit lucky. You have to be injury free. But I thought the SEC did a great job. I mean, Kentucky was really solid. They were good at everything. They could field, they could hit, they pitched well. They're just really hard to beat. And Coach Mingione and his staff did a great job putting that team together. And that was a good mix of transfers and some kids that came through their program, but a lot of kids that, transferred in after their junior year, or maybe even their freshman year, and they were still there and did a tremendous job. So, you look at Tennessee's team, just incredibly talented, a lot of guys that have been there, but they brought in a banging third baseman from Clemson that's going to probably be a first, second rounder, and a few others, a really good freshman shortstop, but they were a very experienced team. And obviously, they scored 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth to win game 1. They got a break on a check swing, could have gone either way, went their way, and then they took advantage of it. And that's how fine line it is. But the league that we play in is amazing. To try to get through it every year and finish at the top is very hard. And, sometimes like this year, we just didn't play well at the end of the year. And I think, no talking around it. It's just the way it was. We didn't play good. And we didn't pitch good. We had a couple games we hit the ball extremely hard, but it was disappointing the way it finished against SEMO. And, the game against TCU, just kind of talking a little bit, or not against TCU, against Kansas State, TCU the year before in that 1-0 game. The year before we just played a really good team, and 23 team, honestly, we were exhausted. All the injuries, everything. Last year's team, the 24 team against Kansas State, if you look at that line score, that was strange. 13 hits, 6 runs, 13 hits, no errors, 7 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors. You're going to win that game 9 out of 10 times or more. We had a lot of balls hard, didn't go our way. Thought we'd get over it. 17 hits on Friday against SEMO, but there was a red flag. You got a guy out there starting, it's number 2 or 3 pitcher. We got him an 8-run lead. Next thing you know, it's 8-8. Very, very concerning there. It was an issue. Bullpen was great. Smith was great. After that, starting pitching, we were on pins and needles, seeing what we were going to get, like probably you guys were, the fans, and wish we would have pitched better the last couple of games, but we didn't. And series was amazing. I thought fans were amazing. The hoopla was amazing. The announcers did a great job pumping up college baseball, and I did watch some. I think if you watch, when you watch as a coach, you watch as a fan because you got a couple of your former coaches coaching and players on a team. And, I'm not saying I was rooting against A&M, but I wanted to see Tennessee win. I mean, Tony worked hard here. Josh worked hard here. Bonfield played here. Those are my friends. I feel like I've helped them over the years, and they've helped me. And I talked to them a lot throughout the season. So, happy for those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but Tony Vitelli in his post game was complimentary to you and your organization here. Did you happen to catch that, and any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't see it. And, yesterday, probably midday, I got a screenshot of what was said. So I pulled it up and tried to find it. Just wanted to hear what he had to say. And I really appreciate it. It's bittersweet because, they won it and we didn't. And, people are happy there and people are not happy here. But really for what we do here, we're trying to develop people, try to develop, our players into men and good people. And then on the coaching side, have these guys go out and, be successful and have a career. Even Andy Sawyer's at SEMO. I mean, coached him. He coached with me a little bit. I coached him hard, and he mentioned it during that I was kind of tough on him, but because I thought he could be better than he was, and I think he appreciates it now. But yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I really do.
All right. And finally, for me, you touched on it a little bit, but you had Jim Schlossnagle go to Texas, which is a kind of a earthquake here in the conference. Just any take there?
Yeah. Well, we knew, he was buddies with Del Conte at Texas, and we knew 3 weeks ago that Texas was going to let their coach go. It's turmoil inside the program. If you look at the wins and losses, it's been pretty good. Getting to Omaha, been pretty good. There's been other problems, and I think somebody was there that wanted somebody else, and there you go. Am I surprised? Not really, but then again, I am a little bit because of what was going to go on at A&M. They'd already made a lot of commitments to, upgrade the stadium. Their fan base is huge. It's passionate. They show up. They make a lot of noise. They make it really hard for you to win there. They have a lot of tradition, and I don't know. It's in Texas. There's a lot of players to recruit right down the road at Houston and up the road Dallas and over there and over there. I mean, yeah. But I think I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's like I said, you can see me. I don't know what to think about it. You can get involved in those situations. That all you have to do is make a call or send a text, and next thing you know, things are happening. But it's a tough situation when you jump from one school right down the road to another when they don't like each other in the first place. It's going to be interesting in our coaches' meetings. I don't know who A&M is going to hire. I just know our league is really, really good. And when Texas comes in and OU comes in this year, it's going to be even better.
Dudley?
Hey, Coach. Obviously, Gackle and Boucher going to the USA training camp. You've had a lot of guys go there. How can that help them in their quest to, to get even better over the summer?
Yeah. So just being around USA baseball, red, white, and blue, it means a lot. I've been involved with their organization 2 different times. Once as an assistant, once as the manager. The players that I got to coach, they're all over the big leagues now. So these guys are all big leaguers. Gackle's going to be a big leaguer one day. Fouch can be a big leaguer. We'll tell you this about Christian. He threw up to the Cape, had a little discomfort underneath his arm, like a pull, just tight. So we're shut him down. So he's not going to go do that. He's just going to rest and get ready. I mean, the guy had an incredible year. He didn't even have a 1 ERA and throws 100 miles an hour, and he's good to go. But just being around there with Gackle, and Gackle, I think, got elevated maybe to the older team, honestly. So it's just going to make him better. Gackle's already very mature for a sophomore to be. You could see his demeanor on the mound. He's all indications are he's going to be a starter for us, and he'll be a great one. But it'll it excels their development a little bit, at least if anything mentally, just to be around those type of players.
And I assume that's the same thing with all these guys in the summer league. Obviously, Cape Cod League, you get a bunch of them playing up there. Even some of the guys coming in here and around, especially I guess if they didn't get as much time this summer. How does it help their development?
It's big, you know, especially if a guy didn't, like example, you know, didn't pitch a lot. Tate McGuire, last fall, Tate looked really good. Didn't go real well early. He got hit a little bit at the end of fall, and then early spring didn't go great. We put him out there, didn't go great. But inside, we always thought this guy's going to be good. And we thought he was going to pitch more as a freshman. But for him to go out, have success, do what we thought he could do, it's big. He walks in here a lot more confident. You know, you think about an offensive guy like Nolan Souza's out on the West Coast playing. You know, we saw about 2 weeks of Nolan Souza. We were just all going, wow. I mean, this is the next guy. And then it kind of went away and it just never returned. So for him to go out there and get a bunch of at-bats against college pitchers, it's going to be big. And we've got a lot of our players scattered all over the country, but a lot in the Cape. As a matter of fact, I'm planning to go into Cape to watch some of those guys in a couple of weeks. I'll probably see 5 games in 5 days and laying it out there just because I want to see them, but I want them to see them play, and they know that it's important for them to be out there playing, and I'm there to support them a little bit.
One last thing. Obviously, I think Hagen Smith would be a great number 7 pick to the Cardinals, but what's the process like for him right now and these other guys who, you know, are going through it as they get ready for the draft?
Yeah, just really stay focused, stay in shape. Don't take time off now. You took a few days off and, you know, stay in really good shape. You know, if you're a pitcher, arm-wise, just throw in your bullpens because you don't know what they're going to want you to do. A guy like Hagen, I'm just telling you, when they get him to their site and they'll take him to their spring training site and he throws the bullpen in front of them and then they put him in a scrimmage against some guys or whatever, they're going to go, wow, this is not normal. And if he throws it over the plate, you know, they may start him somewhere. Whoever takes it, they may say, let's just put him in the bullpen up there in September. What the heck? He's going to be in the big leagues next year. You just don't know, but just, you know, stay focused and ready to go. And I think, you know, don't get all uptight about where you get drafted and all that. But what they're doing right now is they're having conversations with area scouts. Some of them have gone to the combine, and you know, they hang out and teams request to meet with them just to talk to them. There's some kids out there playing in the combine, and sometimes it helps you, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's a little scary if you've had a good year and then you go try to hit there and then you don't hit. So you know, like I said, the draft can't get here soon enough for them or college coaches, honestly, because it's hard right now because we don't know where we're at.
Thanks.
Jackson and Daniel, and then we'll come back around.
Hey, Dave, you know, we talked about Gabe a couple times today and throughout the season, you know, kind of hinting he might have a move to the weekend rotation in his future. Just what does that process look like? What are kind of the beginning steps when trying to gear up a guy with that kind of potential who pitched so well in the bullpen, but move him, get him ready for some more innings next year?
Well, it's just like at the end of the year, we were building him up, and you know, he was our best bullpen arm as far as giving us 2 and 3 innings and finishing the game. He's a defender in the middle of the field. They can field his position as well as anybody. You know, if we would have got through the regional, I mean, the way we pitched, he might have been in the rotation in the super. You know, looking back, if we didn't have to pitch so many guys on Friday, because you have an 8-run lead, now it's 8-8. That was a killer. We had to win the game. You don't want to live. We rolled the dice anyway, because we knew how good SEMO could hit. We knew that they were all older except for their second baseman. And we got an 8-run lead. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I'm thinking, okay, this is a good move. I relaxed a little bit. When it was 8-8, it was scary. Thank goodness the offense kicked it into gear and won that ball game, but we had to use way too many pitchers. And But yeah, we were already building him up, so that you were seeing that. With Team USA, the most they'll throw at a time would be 2 to 3 innings or X amount of pitches. So, when he gets back here, because he's not really going to go back home. He's going to just kind of come back here. If he does, it'll be just for a little bit. Come back here and start training, get ready for fall. And fall's going to be big this year for our team, real big. And we're going to start really early, and we're going to finish early as a squad. And there's a reason for that. I don't think it's been announced, but we're going to play our last couple of days. We're going to play out of town, a couple of teams in a pretty cool spot. So, we'll inform you on that later when I think it gets put out there. So that's how you do it. You build them up.
And then you mentioned Nolan as well today. We saw him, pretty much DH, but do you have an ideal position that you'd like to see him, whether that's in the infield or the outfield, or is that still to be determined?
I mean, ideal, he's a good fielder. He's got a really good arm. He's playing third base this summer, looks like most of the time. He's played some second. We had him working in the outfield. It could be, honestly, his speed, as big as he is, he can really run. I mean, he was probably one of the fastest, or right at, with Wilmsmeyer running last year on our team. So he can play anywhere. Ideally, maybe in the infield. But who's to say? He looks like a big league right fielder. Kind of looks like maybe a big league third baseman as well. So he's going to kind of show us what we need to do, but he's out working on the dirt, so to speak, this summer and putting in a lot of time there.
Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I'm just wondering, with like NIL and everything else opening up, has it opened up, like kind of killed regionality within recruiting as you bring in more guys from the West Coast and other parts of the country?
Well, I think it opens up a door for everything, honestly. Is if you've got it, and you're offering players half a baseball scholarship and another $100,000 or more in many cases, and even a lot more than that in some places. You can, when you make a phone call and you start talking, what's going on with you and who's on you. And, first thing you say, would you be interested in talking about being an Arkansas Razorback? And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. And then we just dig into it. But it opens up a lot of doors. It used to be, you're just talking about partial scholarships, different things, except for a couple of schools that, they had pretty much whatever they needed when it came to scholarships, and they were ahead of everybody. Now there's a lot of teams that have caught them, because now it's all the same between NIL money and being able to work. And, baseball scholarships, you can be fully funded. And then, and in many cases, you're going to make some money. And it's kept kids from signing pro contracts. It's helped kids, make that decision. Well, I know I can make more money signing pro, but I'm going to sign pro anyway. I know I'm going to, but I want to go to college first. 2-3 years, depending on if they're draft eligible after their sophomore year. So it's worth it to them to come develop here instead of sitting in an A-ball, rookie ball, hanging out, not super happy when they could be here and probably get a lot more attention, strength and conditioning, individual coaching by their positions, and a real structured atmosphere. And I think a lot of parents like that as well. Why not go to college? Unless you just get what I call life-changing money. If you get life-changing money, I get it. And that's different for every kid. So, there's a lot of doors open now, and it's not going to change. Next year at this time, it's going to be real interesting. We'll find out as the year goes on with all the new rules coming in.
And then when you're out on the trail and, kind of gauging the portal, do you ever gauge like what schools they're coming from? Is that a factor at all? And to kind of maybe determining, their character and kind of what their makeup is before you get them on campus?
I would have to say 9 out of 10 times it's huge. Not exactly where they played, but their character. Are they a good teammate? I mean, you probably might not believe this, but we do call their coaches a lot of times of the school they're leaving. First, we talk with the individual, find out how it went, ask them, well, how are the coaches there? Are they upset with you, or did they see it coming, or have they known? And, you know, if they say no, they're good with it. And a lot of times we'll just go ahead and make a call and, you know, ask a question or two, or maybe we talk to an assistant coach, or we know an assistant coach or somebody in their league that has played against them and knows them or recruited them. And we try to get as much feedback as we can to find out what we're getting. You know, it's probably not always going to be 100% accurate, or somebody has one opinion or one has another, but it's a big part of it. You know, if somebody played in a certain league and they have done really well compared to playing in another league, I mean, that matters. Bottom line, we get to look at a lot of video, or maybe we played against them, or if they have success at the Division I level, or honestly, there's some kids that did pretty well this year, Division I baseball, that played in Division II ball and NAIA ball all the last few years. So sometimes if you can hit, you can hit. Now, you're not used to seeing mid to upper 90s pitching if you're coming from the Division I or Division II level. But if you've got a good swing and a good approach and you can get on time, it might take a little bit of time. You're going to have success there as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
All right, Ellis, Hutch, and Bob, jump back in with your final ones before we close this thing out. Whoever wants it.
Okay, you know me, I'm never shy about asking questions. Hey, Dave, wanted to ask you a little bit more about a couple guys for the draft. You know, Peyton Stovall, I assume, you know, he'll be drafted fairly high. Hudson White came on strong. Just wondering what you think about those two guys in the draft.
Yeah, I think I feel like both of them are, well, first off with Peyton, I think Peyton had a great year offensively. I mean, he did all of his hitting from, you know, like almost conference on. He didn't get a lot of the preseason stuff. And a lot of times guys can build up their averages a little bit early. Now, we played some really good teams, especially down in Texas, but, you know, he did a great job. I think he hit around 340, played outstanding second base, arm's still not 100% back. And again, he was still learning how to play second base, and his better days are in front of him. I think he's going to be a good draft. And when he gets older, stronger, maybe really healthy, you know, he could play for a long time. And then, you know, I thought White down the stretch, he was, when a lot of guys weren't, he was really swinging the bat well. I thought he was catching well. He was throwing the ball better than ever. But he hit down the stretch like we hoped he would hit most of the year, you know. Just didn't have a good first half, first 3 quarters of the year, just okay. And then bang, there it was. And he hit like that in the last fall. We were really excited. As a matter of fact, I think our team ranked him the #1 hitter. Stovall didn't play last fall because he's still recovering from the injury. So who knows how that would have been. But I think White will be drafted. I think there was people that saw him early that maybe backed off. But people that saw him and came back a few times, and maybe some of their upper decision makers, so to speak, liked what they saw. So I feel like he'll be drafted and probably sign.
And Malay and Tigert, obviously, like you mentioned, they kind of faded at the end, but you know, they have good arms, I would think, have good stuff. Well, maybe what do you see as their draft prospects?
I think they'll both be drafted. I just don't know where. I mean, I don't know where any of them are going to be drafted. That's not my job. But yeah, I think someone will draft them. I think sometimes it's on, you know, is it all the teams want you, or there 5 teams want you to drive the price up a little bit? Obviously, what round? How much money do you want? There's a lot in there. I mean, it's really not my place to figure that out. We have them mentally signing. In our mind, they're signing. So we're making sure that, you know, our young guys are out doing their thing. We bring in a couple of guys, and, you know, we can be, you know, a team that can really compete in the SEC next year when it's 1 through 16, one league. So.
And one more question. I got to admit, I'd kind of lost track of Dallas Keuchel, but I read today he was pitching pretty well for Tacoma. And the Mariners trade him to the Brewers, and the Brewers are like, "Hey, we didn't trade him to put him in AAA. He's going to be pitching to the big leagues in a pennant race for Milwaukee." He's 36. He's made, I'm sure, gobs of money, but yet he still, wants to pitch. Just wondering what I don't know if you stay in contact with Dallas, but just kind of what do you think about him getting traded to a contender and still, maybe having some life in that arm?
Yeah, well, I haven't heard the word gobs in a long time, so that was a classic. But yeah, but Dallas, if he was a 95-mile-an-hour guy, I get it. But he's a pitcher. I mean, 89, 88, 92 with sink and run and cut, and he can manipulate the baseball. He's not trying to strike everybody out, trying to get some ground balls. If you have different type of guys, big right-handed hard throwers, and you pitch him the next day or off of them a little bit, it can be a little confusing, even to a big league hitter. So, yeah, I imagine that they need him now, and they traded somebody, so they didn't trade him to pitch in the minor leagues. They traded him to come get some big league hitters out for him.
I think it was cash considerations, but hey, it was something. Thanks.
Well, yeah, he's fine there.
Unless you got anything else?
I think Hutch just had something.
Yeah.
All right, let's close it out then.
Yeah, I've got a couple. You mentioned, Molina and Tiger kind of mentally expecting them to sign. I'm curious about a couple other guys if they're on that list. Kendall Diggs and Jake Flaherty.
Yeah, so I feel like somebody's going to draft Flaherty. What a great arm! And when you look at his numbers, you go to the stat sheet, look at his number, you kind of go, wow. I mean, super low ERA. We knew this was going to happen to him. When he walked in the door, he was like a big arm, really raw. And not just about, just all the little things, holding runners, fielding his position, just baseball, what you got to do to really, stop teams. But as far as pitching and guys hitting him, nobody's really ever hit him here. He's hit a few people and it got better. But like last summer, he went out and pitched in the Cape and he did well. And, he did what we thought he was going to do. So I think that somebody will take him. And I was wondering if someone was going to ask me about Kendall. So, you look at Kendall's year. I mean, the first 14 games of the year, 15 games of the year, he's hitting like upper 300s, 380, 370. When he slid headfirst on a wet field or an overwatered field, whatever you want to call it, it was early in the game, and he kind of stuck and he hurt that shoulder. We all kind of groaned in the dugout. We didn't know at the time, and then he shook it off. Well, it's a complete tear in his labrum, and I think it's like front and back. And so he is right now in the process of getting lined up to have surgery to get that fixed. So yeah, he could still sign. He could still be drafted, and I think somebody might draft him. I mean, we'd love to have him back. He'll miss all fall, and it's his non-throwing shoulder. It's his left shoulder. But, Kendall, you got to give him credit. I mean, how tough was he to play all year with that injury? And he hurt it a couple more times throughout the season. He ran into the wall at Kentucky. There was another time he hurt it. He made diving catches. And he just played through it. And, hats off to him. It really hurt his offense. It altered his swing. It took away from a little quickness. I know it had to probably hurt when he swung at certain pitches in certain areas. So, yeah, he kind of, in a way, he disguised it a little bit. But I got to give credit to him for how tough he was. And I hope that we have an opportunity to coach him next year because he can get back and play. Goodhart had the same injury. Ezel had the same injury. And those guys did nothing but hit here. Ezel's was on his throwing arm, and he hurt it before he got to Arkansas when he was at SEMO, and we took him anyway, but he learned how to throw sidearm, and he played first base for it. Goodhart, it was pretty bad. And, he got through it and did a good job for us. And then, I think Kendall, if he comes back, will have an opportunity to play outfield. I mean, honestly, obviously he could DH, play outfield. I mean, who's to say what didn't play in the infield for us next year as well? Because that's what he came here as. So we'll see. I've been in contact with him a lot, and when I say a lot, a few times since season ended, and through texting recently, a couple phone calls, and I will talk to him in the next day or two about some things. So, but he was invited to the combine to go do some conversations. I don't know how many he had, if any, but appreciate him trying because he was hurt.
I was going to ask you about a couple other injuries too. I mean, Cooper Dossett, Hunter Dietz, how are they doing? I think Adam Hatchman as well. Just you have any updates on those guys?
Yeah, let's start with Dietz, I guess. Just letting that bone heal around that screw, getting it tight, staying in shape. He's back home in Florida. Not quite sure. He'd have to talk to Coach Hobbs if he start throwing again. It's just he needed more time. That wasn't everything was good. It was good. Bullpen's great. Let's let him go. And then it didn't go good. But we got to get him healthy because he's really talented and he pitched so good for a little while last fall. We got to see what he could do, and the players knew what he could do. Hitters didn't like hitting off of him. You could go on and on. Hatchman, hurt that arm senior year in high school. Really hard thrower, needs to be a pitcher, needs to be able to pitch. We're still figuring that one out. But I'm sure in the next month, we'll know where we're at with that one. Who else did you ask me about? Oh, Dossett, Cooper. He's here working out. No surgery. Everything is just like, he just got to get strong. He's had injury issues since I think his senior year, summer before his senior year. And that injury, it was really scary. He was really scared when it happened. He thought he'd really, torn his elbow. He didn't, as far as we know. That's MRIs and using every avenue we could to figure out what was up there. So I think mentally he's okay. Now he's just got to recover. And if he stays healthy, he's going to be really good. I mean, he throws that cutter and that slider. It's fastballs in the mid-90s now, bigger and stronger, and great kid, worked extremely hard. You couldn't ask for anything more. But when you're a pitcher and your arm's bothering you, that's not a good thing. So we got to get him healthy and feeling good about it. Seemed like was there one more?
I think that's is Fisher still on track for start of next season?
Yeah, I mean, Fisher's here working out. Seems to be on schedule, ahead of schedule, trying to stay in shape as best he can. So every indication right now, it looked good in there. When they looked at it later, like, hey, the surgery went great. When they got in there, it was, it wasn't a tear, it was kind of a stretch, and they can do this different procedure. And that was the idea, going in, see what they see, and then do it. And that's what they did. And, if all goes good, he should be pitching for us in the spring. And, he's a pitcher. I mean, you saw that, and he's hurt. He hurt it. He hurt it in high school. When they got in there, they said, this is an old injury. So give him credit too. I mean, he's pitching probably some of his high school year and senior year, and in here with the problem, and pitched really well, especially early in the fall. He was really good. And so I think when he gets healed up, he should really take off. And continue to climb velocity wise. And he's already got what we call pitchability. He throws strikes, he can change speeds. He knows how to hold runners, quick to the plate. Now stay healthy. If he does that, he's going to have a great career and a pitch for a long time.
All right, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Good to see you. See you later.